Acts 2:42 through 47. And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, and the prayers. And awe came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done throughout the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common. And they were selling their possessions and belongings, and distributing the proceeds to all, as any had need. And day by day, attending the temple together, and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number, day by day, those who were being saved. Acts 2:42 through 47.
This Sunday, we are going to continue our I Am series with something we hear a lot in the Bible, the vine. I am the vine. So yeah, let's get to it, guys.
All right, so today we're talking about John 15:5, and this is basically Jesus's final words. Jesus knew that he was going to the cross. He knew that this was the end for him as a human, and it's so crazy because it was his last moments, but he really wanted to speak to the people and leave an impact on the people. So John 15:5 says, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And in the Bible, the vine that he's talking about specifically is a grapevine. And the only purpose of the grapevine in the scriptures is to produce fruit. So Jesus is saying he is the vine, and he is the vine, and we are the branches. And without the vine, we can't produce fruit. So the vine is the start of everything. And I want to read you John 15:1. It's actually a really powerful message. It says, I am the real vine, and my Father is the farmer. He cuts off every branch of me that doesn't bear grapes. And for me, that was just like, wow, he cuts off every branch of me. So he's the vine and I'm the branches. But if I am not if I am around things, if I'm surrounding myself with things that are not going to produce fruit, he's just going to cut them off. So whether that be people, whether that be activities, whether that be things that are really not serving me and not fruitful to our lives, he's going to cut them off.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And that's a really good point, because you think about even disease, right? Like in plants, once you're exposed to something that's not good for the plant, like something toxic, like in our lives, it can be anything like what you just mentioned. Yeah. That starts to eat away at us before we even know it. Just like plants, once you open yourself up, any kind of wound, any kind of vulnerability that's not good for you, right? Though you start to see parts of you die, right? The joy starts to fade away. In plants, right? You'll see trees, parts of it will start to die, and then you're right, you can't bear fruit. How can you make fruit when the source where it's coming from is no longer there?
Right, and we're actually the branches that are connected to the vine. So we are connected to Jesus, and if we stay connected to Jesus, if we stay connected to the vine, then the fruit will definitely flourish and grow. And also he goes on to say that if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And he says remain, and remain is the action, right? And so the definition of remain is to continue to exist, especially after other similar or related people or things cease to exist. So Jesus knew that he was no longer going to exist in the human form, and yet he told his followers, remain in me. So the act of just remaining, the act of staying, abiding, being faithful, being loyal, that's what was going to produce the fruit. That's what was going to be fruitful and produce the good things. And people just think that the branches produce the fruit, but it's the vine that starts everything. It's the vine that has the nutrients and the ability for the branches to produce their fruit to flourish. So remaining is the action, right? So
that's good.
If you think about it like this, think about it as him saying, if you stay at home in me and I stay at home in you, then we will produce good fruit. So Jesus is basically saying, I should be the comfort like your home is your comfort. I should be to you like your home is to you, a comfortable place. I should be like sitting on the couch on a cold day. I should be your best friend, the person that you talk to, the person you confide in. I should be a safe space where you can go for shelter. So it's basically like, if you stay home in me and I stay home in you, that's where the fruit will produce.
Mm-hmm. Which is awesome. I mean, but I guess like some people, like we can say that, right? We can say, hey, yeah, be in Jesus, stay on the branch, stay on the vine, and feed from him and all this wonderful stuff. But I think a lot of people, they get mixed up with how do you do that, right?
Right.
And I know, so let's do with that. Like, how? What do you think? What's a great step?
So I think a lot of things is awareness and having gratitude. I know I talk about gratitude a lot. I know in my mindful minutes I talk about gratitude a lot, but it's really
important.
It's so important. It really is. And gratitude is really where everything kind of comes from, and where the love and the positivity can really reflect your entire life. So you can use the 5 senses for gratitude, which I really liked. So you can use these categories to give gratitude. If you're like, where do I begin? What do I just say? Thanks? Like, no, there's actually like, you can use your 5 senses to practice gratitude. So give thanks in what you've seen. What are some things that you've seen today, like actually stopped to look at? And maybe a tree, maybe it's just like you were on a walk and you saw a tree and you're like, wow, that's really beautiful. Like,
really appreciating it, right?
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Just
definitely.
looking and being like, this is a beautiful gift from God,
Yeah.
And then also like what we've heard today, like something beautiful, or a worship song maybe that like we actually took the time to intentionally listen to the words to, or our kids laughing. We actually take the time to be mindful of those things that are so beautiful and just so taken for granted every day, you know? Also, what we've touched, like not touch like, oh, we've touched somebody, but actually physically touched. Like, what kind of things did we feel today? Like maybe the grass, or you know, maybe we touched somebody when we hugged them today, and how did that feel? And it's really getting into the mindset of like the smallest, simplest things. And that's really like back to the basics, like we always say with Jesus, you know, it's like just the smallest things that really mean so much. And even, you know, where our feet have taken us, like how many steps do we take in a day? Like we're always checking our steps on our watches, right? But do we really stop and think about like, wow, we have feet that can actually walk through this world, and we can travel and take us places, and you know, allow us to see things, and we can just take a walk down the street and we don't think about it, and it's just something so beautiful that not everybody can do. And it's just those kind of things. And
what it's really cool, sorry, but I think what's really cool too is like almost do it like a baby doing it for the first time. Have you ever seen the excitement when a baby first takes their walk, or when they take their first bite of like an apple or a piece of meat, or you know, like something else? That's because they've never experienced it before, and then we get complacent, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's what gratitude is so wonderful to do, is because it reminds us, right, of these things that we're gifted, and we shouldn't take it for granted, like you said, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should do that, just like a newborn child experiencing things for the first time. And I really do feel like that's how Jesus wants us to live life too, like live this gift.
Right.
Right.
And I think the thing you said about like being complacent and being stagnant, I think we get these feelings, right, when we're stagnant, like when Jesus is trying to speak to us and we're just kind of like in our just habitual way of doing things, kind of in a fog, you know. And when we get stagnant, I feel like we can feel Jesus kind of tugging at us, but we don't know what it is. So we're like either depressed or crabby or just like upset, and we don't know why. We can't figure it out, but it's really like being stagnant is really Jesus talking to us, saying like, go back to the basics, like just open your eyes and just see the world that I have made, you know. And just really, it's simple. It's just such a simple thing that we just take for granted. And I think being stagnant really like stirs up those things. And I think when we feel those like uneasy kind of anxiety, worrisome, angry, sad feelings, that's what it is. It's really God speaking to us and saying like, hey, don't stay stagnant. Like there's so much more for you, and so much beauty around you to be grateful for, you know. And even the last one is what your heart has loved today. And it's like,
I like that.
Me too. And you know, it's like, oh well, we love our family and we love this, but it's like, if you take a minute to think about like, what does my heart really love today? Because you know, it's easy, like I said, you can go through life with tunnel vision. Like you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you make dinner, you go to bed. It's like the same monotonous thing every day. But I think even keeping a gratitude journal about like all the things, like even if it's just 5 things for the day, like at the end of the day, you just write the 5 senses of gratitude, and you just sit with those things, really read them, look at them, think about how they made you feel that day. There's something that's going to completely change the way you looked at that whole day and the way you're going to look at the next day. And I think that's really so powerful, to remain in Jesus, to remain the action of remaining in him. But there, I mean, there are a few other ways.
Yeah, no, that I think that's awesome. When you, so part of what stuck out too when you're talking about gratitude is like being still, right? Really spending that intentional time. And I think we don't really do that. We talk about it all the time. I feel like I hear it more and more, but what are we really doing about it, right? And I think it is important to stay there and just go, you know, let's like, and it doesn't have to be a full hour, right? It can just be, just give yourself 10 minutes before bed, or maybe you need 15 minutes before everyone wakes up in the house. But I think setting that time and just, you're right, going through your list of being grateful, but listening and seeing what God's speaking to you. Like maybe you just meditate, where you just keep your mind blank, play something that's actually going to make you feel at ease, at peace, that's going to allow God, for you to actually hear what God has to tell you. And we don't do that, right? Like you said, we're doing this, we're doing that, and we're crowded. Like our brain is, it's just clouded of everything else. And no wonder at the end of the day we're just like angry, or whatever it is that we decide to put our focus on, right? And I think really making sure to putting your focus back on Jesus by doing these things, I think is really helpful, you know? But it's not, remaining in Jesus is not one of the things that, you know, it shouldn't be a force to do. Really, it's a blessing that we get to do it. Just try it you're really going to see the shift in your life, this shift in your energy, just and I promise you, it's just only beautiful things are going into it.
Right.
So yeah, like stay in Jesus, guys. Like he says, I am the vine.
And I think one more thing to add to that one, which I think is really kind of just hit me right now, is in John 15:5, right? It's basically his final words. Like, he knows he's gonna die. He knows that the people that he trusted are already like backstabbed him, you know? And it's like,
yeah.
And yet he's still taking his time before he's going to the cross to speak life into people. And it's like, wow. And we can't take 5 minutes of our time in our day to just be with him, be with the one who literally gives us life, and it, you know, gave his life for us. And, you know, to just think about like him knowing, okay, like these are my final moments, this is, you know, basically my exit speech here. Just remember these things is so beautiful. Like, you know, like it's just the smallest little gestures of such big, deep love that it's like, and we're blessed every time we spend time with Jesus. Every time we actually make that intentional time, like blessings happen. We see them, we have testimonies about it. And it's just like, what stops us from that? What stops us from making the time? You know, it's like, exactly, he is the vine. It's not just like the remaining in Jesus is just not like one of the things to do, it's the thing to do. And I think that's so important, because if you want a fruitful life, if you want all these things to happen, if you want blessings, miracles, if you want community, if you want beauty in your life, if you want all these blessings and all these beautiful things to happen, it's like, you can't just sit there. You have to take the action. You have to be intentional. You have to practice gratitude. You have to remain. The act of remaining, when like the act of existing when something else is not existing, that's what you have to do. It's the intentionality that's going to make us more like Jesus every day. And it's also loving our enemies and doing the things that are really uncomfortable and things we don't exactly want to do. You know, it's not all like roses and happiness. It's really not. It's going through those trials and knowing that he's there, having faith. That's also remaining in Jesus, is having faith. Like, you know, even like he says, faith as small as a mustard seed. It doesn't have to be this gigantic, grand thing. It's just knowing that, listen, like, we're in a storm. It's not easy right now. Why is this happening? We don't know, but we know that God is there and God is working all those things out. And God is the vine. God is the start of everything, and he is what we are looking towards to produce the fruit. So
that's beautiful. No, I absolutely agree. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful time.
We love you guys, and just practice some stillness this week. We challenge you, practice some stillness, and where in your life, what senses, you don't have to even do all 5 senses this week. Like, just, maybe take one of them and really practice that. Be intentional about practicing it this week, and then, like, we can talk about how you feel. Like, how did it make you feel? Seeing a tree in a different way, or, touching the grass in a different way, or hugging somebody in a different way, having a conversation with somebody in a different way. How did that bless your life this week? So we love you guys, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, I think we made it.
What's going on, LOP? Pastor E here, wanting to encourage your heart right now, wherever you're at. Have you ever gone outside and just taken a deep breath of fresh air and realized that everything changes within you? So I'm going to challenge you right now. Can you do that? Are you able to get up and go outside, take a deep breath outside, and just start over? Start your day fresh. Maybe it's been an awesome day. Maybe it's a moment of gratitude for you. Maybe it's a moment of clarity. Maybe it can be a moment of hope for you. But I wanted to read you Psalm 106, and it's this. Verse 1, praise the Lord. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. May that be so for you today. May you be encouraged today. Go outside, get some fresh air, and just know that you are a gift. And today is a gift. And we are doing this thing, this life, and we don't have to do it alone. Love y'all.
Thank you everyone for joining us for our virtual church experience. We love engaging with you guys each week. We love this community, we believe in this community, and we know that God is still doing work even online. If you're new here with us, we would love for you to fill out our digital connection card in the link provided. And if you need to update your information, please fill it out again as well. In the meantime, we invite you to check us out online on Instagram at Live on Purpose, or Facebook at LOP Community, or on our website at lopnow.com. Until next week, guys.